This is the life of people living in the rural areas of Malawi. No electricity and no power supply. After 6 in the evening, candles and thatched grass become our lifesaver. For most of you who are here, and also those who are watching online, consider electricity as a basic necessity. But can you imagine living a day without electricity? I'm sure most of you, your lives would come to a standstill. But for people living in the rural areas of Malawi, electricity is a luxury. Malawi is a landlocked country located in the southeastern part of Africa. It has beautiful mountains, rivers, and lakes. But according to the World Bank, Malawi is ranked as the 4th poorest country in the world. And its primary energy source that Malawi relies on is hydroelectricity. But the power stations that supply this electricity have a limited capacity to supply the whole population of Malawi. And the majority of the population lives in the rural areas, with 95% of them having no access to electricity. But do you know who is the most affected by this problem in the rural areas? It's the women. Let me tell you how. In most African traditions, women are assigned roles of taking care of the house and of the family. Roles like cooking, cleaning, fetching firewood, preparing children to go to school, the list goes on and on. And most of these activities are done early in the morning or late in the evening when there is no light. You might not even imagine giving birth just under candlelight. But pregnant women in the rural areas are reminded to bring at least 2 candles when it's time to deliver their babies. It's not just the work inside the home that is affected. Even stepping outside of the house at night to use the toilet is one of the terrifying experiences for both adults and children alike. Even businesses end up closing early as soon as the sun sets. I was one of the fortunate ones who grew up in the city together with my 3 siblings. Their life was easy and carefree. Our parents used to drive us to school. We had good food on the table. We used to play and study at night. But when I was 16, our father one night came to us and told us that he had lost his job. We had to move to the village, to a house that had no electricity or running water. I used to struggle to study under the dim candlelight, fighting off mosquitoes at the same time. Moments of simply turning on the light with just a simple switch felt like another lifetime. Soon, my school grades began to go down, and my parents became worried. So they sent me to live with my aunt in the city. And here, electricity was no longer a luxury. When I completed my education, I worked with different organizations that focused on uplifting the livelihoods of rural women in the rural areas. And this brought back memories of my life in the village. During this time, I met one of the beneficiaries called Jane. Jane lived with her grandmother and her son. And one day when I visited Jane, she welcomed me to her home. But although it was during the day, as soon as I entered the house, it was completely covered with darkness. And Jane explained to me that she had no money to buy candles. Jane is one of the many women in the rural areas struggling with the lack of electricity. And this is why I established Village Solar in 2022. At Village Solar, we empower rural women with skills to become solar entrepreneurs. We used to buy solar lamps from companies in the city and provide them to the women so that they can sell within their communities. But I realized that there was a gap. The women were not being involved in being part of the solution to a problem that greatly affects them. They were just passive beneficiaries. This motivated me to come to Kanthari. And here, Kwatukwale project was born. Kwatukwale means, let my village have light. Under this project, the rural women will form cooperatives, and they will learn how to assemble solar lamps, how to repair them, and how to sell within their communities. They will use locally available materials like bamboo, plastic bottles to make basic solar lamps that provide light and able to charge small electronics like phones. Local materials will be used to keep the cost of making these solar lamps low and affordable to the communities. We are aware that some of the components that will be used shall one day become waste. Therefore, the women will be involved in collecting different types of e-waste materials within their communities, and these will be taken to organizations that are currently recycling e-waste. The women will undergo a 3-month training, and this has been divided into 4 phases. The first phase is known as dusk phase. Dusk symbolizes transitioning of day to evening. And in this phase, the women will be introduced to solar energy. They will learn how sunlight is transformed to electricity, and also the importance of forming cooperatives. The second phase is known as the dark phase. Just like walking into a deep, dark forest, this phase is about going deep and discovering new skills. The women will learn how to assemble solar lamps, the tools that are needed, and also the safety measures needed to be taken into consideration when making these solar lamps. The third phase is known as the dawn phase. Dawn symbolizes new beginnings. And in this phase, the women will learn how to transform their newly acquired skills into business and earn money. The fourth and final phase is known as the day phase, where everything comes to life. The women are now running their own cooperatives. They are now empowered and more confident in themselves. They are able to assemble solar lamps and sell within their communities. They have been transformed into powerful women who are able to provide light to their families and their communities. Now, let's see how we'll be able to make these solar lamps. Now, my village has light. Thank you.